the small daily steps that make it happen. And you get better as you go along.
Got to put in the reps, really.
Honestly, that's it. There's no magic pill. There's no Ozempic shot for social media. You gotta put in the work. And I was like, you know what? I have an editor now. I have somebody that can post stuff. Like, I absolutely have the means to be able to post 6 times a day. Like you said, even maybe if it's just the same video on, multiple platforms, just tweaked slightly different or not, right? Like, you can just copy paste the same damn thing. It's better than doing nothing. Mm-hmm. But I could probably carve out 6 to 8 hours in one single day and then have it be done for the month. That I could do. Most people aren't going to have that. And so you have to have that mentality of going in and knowing that you're going to have to grind at this every single day for years, for months and years before it'll finally work. But the playbook is out there and it does work.
Hello, today I am welcoming Braden Hatch, aka Hatchman Loans, who is your friendly neighborhood loan officer, TV host, author, and Tatted Metalhead Dad. So thank you for joining me on the PolyTools Creator Spotlight.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks again.
So, I was talking to you before the call, and I was saying, I found you through this clip on TikTok, but, when you start looking into a lot of your profiles, you have a lot of content history there. Whether it's short form or long form, TV even, which I think is an angle that we haven't really got much on the show that would be kind of nice to get into there. We have a lot of different questions ahead of us here, but the first thing I always kind of just ask is how you got started as a content creator.
It kind of happened by accident. I've been in finance my entire life, which I know is kind of an odd thing to say, being as tatted as I am. But I started as a bank teller and then worked my way through management and eventually got sick of that and decided to become a mortgage consultant and right there for the bank. And they didn't allow us to make content, right? So they give us a list of 1 million different clients. You've got massive databases available. But one day I had a conversation with my boss after I had probably got done making 100 plus cold calls for the day. I was like, why can't I just make a video and throw it on Facebook that talks about everything, that we're trying to pitch to these people, which is saving money through refinancing or getting pre-qualified to buy a house. Why can't I just do that? And they're like, well, no, we can't do that. There are a million different rules of the bank. And so they didn't want me to, but I always had that idea. And so that was kind of the first spark of it. And then I eventually left there and found another company that was promoting that. They're like, we want you to build a brand online. We want you to expand your reach. And so I just started diving into it, but pretty much all for business. I was a late adopter of social media. I'm 40 years old now. I didn't even have social media until 2009. I got it after I got engaged and just wanted a way to find all my buddies that were scattered throughout the US, a way to get, to invite them to my wedding, basically. So that's the whole reason I got social. But then now it's just morphed into this whole thing. And I just, honestly, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with creating the content. Like, once I got an editor and they were able to kind of bring my vision to life as far as what I was trying to accomplish, I was like, this is fun. Like, this is really fun. But you have to do it in addition to all those other things you're doing to grow your business for it to work really well, right? So that's
synergetic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because I'm obsessed with this idea of creating like a media empire as a content creator. And I think you and I are quite alike when it comes to just the idea of making content's really fun. I hate editing. Like, the one thing that gets me through this.
Worst. That's the first thing I hired was an editor. Because I'm like, I tried my very own video. Like, we had documented this whole process where we were taking a road trip, and this was back early in the years of my marriage. I'm going through a divorce right now, but my wife had her real estate license, and I, was the loan officer, and we were driving to California, and we wanted to showcase what that looked like, because I would drive while she was working on the offer. And so I was trying to document that as I was driving. And then we pulled over, switched seats. I did my best to document that with our shitty little iPhone cameras we had back then. And then I went to edit that whole piece, and it was probably maybe a 30-second clip. And I spent 4 to 5 hours trying to edit this thing. And it still didn't come out right. I still didn't get it correct. This was before CapCut, before we have all the fun tools we had now. I think I was using the iMovie thing on the MacBook. I have no experience with this stuff, right? And I was like, fuck this. I am not cut out for an editor. And long story short, I found an editor, and best thing I ever did.
I just to quickly note this in here for anyone listening in. I can't really afford much of an editor just due to like the income not being that high for content. But I did go on Reddit, and sometimes there's a lot of people who want to get more experience, and so you can pay them $20 a video, and they're excited to get the practice, and so you get to work with them as long as you're patient with them learning the skills and maybe learning your style. It could be a great way for you both to kind of benefit each other. Like you get them more experience, and you can also pay a little bit cheaper. Obviously, editors deserve to get paid well, but if you can't afford it just yet, yeah.
No, and that's it, right? I teach that in a lot of the stuff, because I promote now to other loan officers and real estate agents how to start getting on social. And I'm sensitive to that fact that not everybody can afford an editor, right? A good one is not cheap. Or it's difficult to find someone that's willing to work for, less money because it is so difficult. It takes a lot of man hours to get things edited the way we envision them, even with all the tools that we have. So that's what I tell people. Like, if you can't afford it, you got two options: learn how to do it and just go through those growing pains, or make more money and hire somebody.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that I actually mentioned too is like by doing it yourself first, you know what to tell the person later on as well. And we'll get into some of the tools a bit here in a little while. You mentioned getting on social media in 2009, and you're like, that's kind of late. I mean, obviously MySpace and like I am was a big thing back in the early 2000s. I remember those days a little bit.
MySpace, right? Like,
yeah.
I didn't even have one. I thought they were funny. I was like, why would I need this? Like, I'm just living my life. Like, why the hell would I want to, waste time on the internet? Because I'm still that like old generation millennial.
Yeah. I just turned 30, so I'm the younger generation or middle kind of thing. So it's one of those things where I feel like I joined around the same time you did, but I had more of a reason to. But even 2009 is still pretty early is what I was trying to go for. It's like you've been around for a minute, and it took you a while to adopt it, but at least you still did it before pretty much everyone else.
No, and especially when it comes to this space, right? Like mortgage guys, there's still like hardly any. Like maybe like think of your favorite mortgage influencer. I've got no names that come to mind, right? Like it's kind of an untapped space, and because it's boring. I've always felt that like, look, talking about finance and mortgage, like it's one of those necessary things in life, if you're trying to get into real estate and get into that game, but it's hard to make that exciting. Like, how do we showcase what's possible? And so it's been a journey. I still don't pretend to have figured it out, but what we're doing now is working. It's bringing in leads. It's been a very slow game, very slow play. It takes years, but I knew that getting into it, right? I knew, just like with anything, building a brand, building your following, all of that online is definitely a long play. It's not an overnight success. I mean, for some people it can be. And I think that's what's hard about it, is because you see those quick overnight successes, like the dog face guy that got all those endorsements the day after posting a TikTok video. Like in real life, most people aren't going to have that. And so you have to have that mentality of going in and knowing that you're going to have to grind at this every single day for years, for months and years before it'll finally work. But the playbook is out there and it does work. Like that's why we're all doing it, right? We see those successful individuals that have gotten it to work for them. Now we're just trying to find out, how do we make that work for us? So it's, again, the system itself works. The concept is there. It's just the time and the work and the energy of getting there.
Yeah. I mean, I just sort of think about when I started making clips for these podcast interviews I took like 2 years before I could find a tool to make it easier for me. And I wish I had just found a way to do it sooner, because the actual growth of podcasting back in like 2021, 2022 was way better on TikTok. But by the time I did it in 2023, it was still kind of slowing down. Obviously, it's still early, but it was like not early enough. Sure. And so you always got to see these opportunities, or you see people blow up because of this or that, and you want to be that first mover, but you're not always going to have the opportunity to do so. You do.
And first isn't always best, right? Like, you're going to make it your own. You're going to make your own version of it. And again, we all have these people that we kind of look up to. Like, I found Gary Vee on social media, and that was the first time I'd ever heard somebody speak like that, like on a video. And I was like, and it was everything I was thinking. I was like, this guy is not afraid to just put it all out there. And it was like this wow moment of, holy shit, this guy's cool. Like, how do I share my stuff, but like without trying to be him, because I'm still me, but how do we like just authentically give our entire selves and our knowledge to where people see that it's just us trying to be real, that we're just trying to help? Because like, I think the true creators and those that are trying to build something, that's why we're doing it. It's not for us to be on camera. Like, I don't want to be some famous movie star or TV show host or whatever. Like, I'm really just trying to get the message out there because of all the things that have worked so well for me. And I think they could help other people because I do think we have a mindset problem just in general. And social media, you can either fixate on the negativity and go down that road and complain about things and say the system's broken, or you can use it as your platform to where you
Yeah.
become the voice to try to help others and get, and if more people could do that, we can drown out the negativity and stop stop that from happening. So that's kind of my little spiel on that.
I align with you there because we have a message we want to share, and that's why we make content. And Gary
Right.
Vee is how I found you. You're sharing a quote by him, and as that clip came up on my feed, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. The way you were thinking about his, like the way you're interpreting what he was saying there, because you were
Right.
mentioning how he said that you should be posting 6 videos a day. And whenever I was watching a lot of his keynotes, the one quote that really stuck to me was that you should be posting 100 times a day across all these different
See, I
platforms.
remember you saying that. I was like, whoa.
But the thing is, if you think about it, if you take those 6 posts and you post it on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, 5
Yep.
times 6, however much that is, 32 or something like that. I don't remember. It's not my head. My brain's not working. But 26, I guess. I don't know. Point is,
It's a lot of content.
it's a lot of content. That's already a fourth of the way just from posting across the different platforms, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it, right? It's shifting that mindset. Cause yeah, if he had told me 100 videos a day, I'd have been like, oh, I'm nowhere near that. I'm doing one a week. Like that's insane. Like, I probably wouldn't have done what I did. But when he said 6, I was like, you know what? That is possible. And at the time I had someone that was like posting for me. This was deep in the 2-3% days of mortgage rates, so we were just busy doing refis, and so I didn't have the time to post every single day like I do now, but I knew it was important. So because we were raking in the money with all these deals we were bringing in, I could afford to hire someone, and so that's what we did. And I was like, you know what, I have an editor now, I have somebody that can post stuff. Like I absolutely have the means to be able to post 6 times a day, like you said, even maybe if it's just the same video on multiple platforms, just tweaked slightly different, or not, right? Like you can just copy paste the same damn thing. It's better than doing nothing. And so what I heard from him was the more you're putting it out there, as more people are joining social, like especially for my job, right? Like how often are people actually on the active home search process, right? Like it's something most people do every 5 to 10 years, if that. So I have to find somebody that happens to be within that window. So if anything, loan officers and real estate agents need to be posting way more than everybody else because it's such a narrow, it's literally a needle in a haystack, the person that we're looking for. We have to find that person. We have to be interesting. They have to like, know, and trust us. They have to know what the next steps are, and we have to make all of that easy for them. That's a lot to figure out, but you just start by step 1. And so that was the first kind of aha moment for me, is like, you know what, until we have that, we just have to get as much content out there as possible so that people know who I am. And what I noticed is when I showed up in person to networking events, when I would go to, open houses, when I would meet real estate agents, whoever happened to be in that space, they'd be like, dude, I see your stuff everywhere. Like it happens at my chiropractic office. Like, hey, dude, I saw you on YouTube the other day, or I saw you on TikTok. And so it does work, and it shows people that you're real, that you live in the community. You're, again, grocery shopping, getting, chiropractic stuff done. Like it shows them that I'm just a regular guy and that I really do know what I'm talking about. And so it's the in-person that makes that social media more authentic, I guess, and more, people want to work with people. And so they see your stuff online, but they want to be like, oh, well, he's just a guy here in Arizona who does this and lives here in my community. Like so it starts local, but then it starts to branch out, because of how far your reach can go in social, which can be a good and a bad thing sometimes.
It can, and we can get into that a bit. But before we move on, one thing I wanted to touch on there is that you don't know when the person's going to be online, right? You could have some of your people. I've heard about this in Twitter, for example. If you have someone who's a morning Twitter person or an evening Twitter person, and you post in the morning, then the opposite person's not going to be able to see it. So I used to think like you should post in the morning, take that same post the next day, post it in the evening, and then maybe a month later, then 6 months later, repost that same post, and that way you could reach people at different points, week, month, 6 months, whatever it may be. But the point is meeting them where they're at, and more importantly, when they're at. Since that's why posting 6 times a day is so important, because you never know when they're going to see you, or if the platform's even going to push you out in the first place now.
Right, exactly. Well, because your stuff has to be good. And same thing, you're trying to find that one individual. So again, I think this is a mistake that a lot of people make early on when they create content is we try to talk to the masses. We try to talk to absolutely everybody. But everything kind of switched for me when I really dialed it into one specific person, like just very, very specific. Like when I'm making a video, I'm talking about this one guy or this one girl and their situation and how we helped them and what works for them. Because you'll find that there's a lot of similarities we have just as human beings and as individuals. And so it's like, hey, I actually have that same problem. And so then they will share it, and other people that have that same problem that you're showing can solve will find the same thing. That's what we realized with the first, I had one video that just went absolutely viral, like, 2 million plus views, tons of comments. And,
Wow.
of course I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't even ready to handle that type of lead capture and the amount of people reaching out to me at once. And so it was a great learning experience, but that was it. It was like, oh man, why did that work? Like it wasn't a video we had planned on going viral. I've had so many other ideas that I thought would catch fire and then just flop. And then this random little tiny video just crushed it. And so we were trying to figure out what it was. And we broke it down into basically 3 simple steps. Like there was a real world specific problem, which was home affordability. I showed them how to solve it with just math on an iPad, like showing them a program. And it was kind of controversial because we needed certain things to happen. But again, they're things that I'm doing. And so it was all of those things. And then it just resonated with people and it caught fire. It was crazy. So we learned a lot from that one. And I've never had one take off as well as that one did.
Yeah.
But the formula, when we took that same formula and we put it into the newer videos, they were the ones that attracted leads, that attracted like business, people that wanted to either do a loan or to have a consultation. And so that was a pretty cool shift as well. But in order for that to work correctly, you still have to have all of the other educational posts and the ones that show show off your brand. Because what's the number? I think it's like, people have to see you. They have to have
6 to 9 times or something like that, I think.
I heard it was like 80 before they'll actually trust you. Like they'll see a few videos and then they might go down the rabbit hole. And that works really well on YouTube if you do it correctly. I've gotten a handful of clients just through that because they saw one video and then that led them to another one and another one and another one. So they've learned so much from me already that by the time they call me, I'm not having to sell myself or explain who I am and what I do. They already know. They're like, dude, you're my guy. Like, I need to buy a house. I'm self-employed. I've been told no by everybody else, but you said that because of this, this, and this, I can still buy a house. Show me how to do that. What do I do next? And then it's a much easier moving forward. Like it's almost like pre-qualifying your clients along the way. So by the time they get in front of you, you don't have to sell yourself. They're just ready to buy. They're ready for that step. And so it's pretty cool if you do it right, which it shifts so often, like the trends within social media, that it is something that you just have to do every single day. You have to dial it into your process, like working out, like eating right, like anything that you're trying to accomplish long term. It's the small daily steps that make it happen.
Yeah.
And you get better as you go along.
Got to put in the reps, really.
Honestly, that's it. There's no magic pill. There's no Ozempic shot for social media. You just gotta put in the work and learn along the way.
And diversification of content is always really important too. One thing I'm actually working on right now, just to share with you, is I made 2 clips channels, one for this show, one for my other show, and on Instagram and YouTube particularly, because TikTok makes it annoying to make new accounts and stuff like that. But my point is, like, I'm going to just basically reshare my thousands of clips I already have and then make some medium length clips and stuff like that. And all I'm doing is just reposting my content essentially and maybe making a few more stuff. But you're diversifying it. Now you have more channels. And so if one channel gets, taken down, or one channel has too much, like it doesn't really work for you anymore, you can move on to a different one. You have that, you don't put all your eggs in one basket kind of mentality.
For sure.
And that also leads me into another question here about different content types. So like written, audio, and video. I don't know if you would want to experiment much with audio and written content as much, or if you have, maybe I just didn't see it. So I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah. As you'll see on pretty much all of my posts, like, I'm very heavy video. I've just always felt that that's the best and quickest way to get the message across. For me, it's just more time consuming to put in like the written stuff, because I'm still managing this all myself with me and just one editor. And so we use the batch content idea, right? We plan in advance like what clips we want, which is basically just enough to make sure we have one long form video for YouTube per week. And then from that, we can chop it up into a bunch of other short form videos. And then with the TV show, I'm only doing that once every other month. And so that's a full episode. We can get an entire month's worth of content out of that one. And that plays really well for like lifestyle highlighting, because my editor was like, well, what's the point of this? Like, how is this going to help someone get a loan if we're, just talking about this story or this house or this business? And I'm like, well, it's showcasing what homeownership can provide. It's the end result of the lifestyle. And so it's not so much educational. It's not showing them what they can do to get into a house, which I've got lots of that type of content. And that's the point of it. Like if they need to know how to do that, we can send them there. But people want to see the end result. We want to see what it brings. Like how does this provide for us long term? What is a home? What can it do? So that's kind of what the TV show does. And it's an opportunity to put more positive media out into the world. That was the biggest reason that I signed up with those guys, is that was their vision. They're like, we need more positive information, especially around real estate. Like for whatever reason, real estate agents sometimes get a bad rap. There's a lot of shitty ones out there, unfortunately, because honestly, it is kind of too easy to get your license, and there's just too many people doing it part-time or for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But the good ones, the good ones are the ones that are out there supporting the local soccer team, supporting their kids' t-ball. Like they're the ones putting, with their names on the banners, supporting locally. And so that a lot of them are really good people, but they just don't get their chance. They don't get a chance to have their story told because one, they're not turning on the camera and being intentional about it. And two, they might just think they're too busy serving their community. But those are the ones that need to do it the most. It's like, oh, this would blow up your business. And maybe they don't want that, but like if they could help so many more people if they just turn on that camera and just documented what they did every single day. That was a little shift for me. It's like, I don't need to, like, even though we still schedule time to do the batch content for the specific ones, some of my most successful videos have just been where I opened up the camera real fast and went TikTok live and talked about something that was near and dear to me, or a quick story, or like the Instagram stories or Facebook stories. I get probably more leads from those than I do on my really thought out,
I love stories,
edited videos, right? Like, because it's the authenticity that people crave. They want to know that you're smart, that you know what you're talking about. And if you have a problem that you can help them with, you're going to be their go-to person.
I like the way you answered that, by the way. And you brought in the TV, which is an interesting angle. One thing a lot of people seem to forget is that, like, when you make shorts, your editor was asking, why are we making this? Well, when you have each of these different clips, those are different doors to your content ecosystem, right? Yes. And you're more of a video-heavy ecosystem. That's totally okay. And I always, encourage people to do all three. But you have put so much effort and mindfulness into your video that it makes sense. Like, from my point of view, it makes sense for you to have done that. Like, right? You have your big content, the TV. You have your medium content, YouTube, and you have your clips. So you have all three different types. Some people do courses instead of TV. I do like mega blog posts, for example. And the idea is just you have something to lead them into, but you also can make content from that, which trickles down. Right. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's all about the content repurposing, right? Like you can get so much. Like people think that I'm just like constantly creating stuff, but I'm like, I create once a month and then, on the fly when I feel like it. Like it's really not that often once you dial it in, because I've got a process. And that's really what it comes down to. You have to dial in your processes, and then it'll make it easier. But until you figure that out, the only way to do it is just by going through those pains, right? Like in the beginning, it was literally me just uploading videos one at a time from my iPhone, like onto each profile, hand typing, before the days of ChatGPT, hand typing all the captions. But now with AI, we have the ability to put out tons of content. Like that's what AI has done for us, and new technology. It allows us to kind of amplify ourselves. It's, for some people it's going to take away their jobs. For those that are just here to take orders and help them, like, sorry, AI is probably going to take your jobs. But for those of us that are creators that are trying to build something, it's going to amplify our presence and make us more productive. Like, it's like, I finally have a clone or a twin that can, do this for me. Like I can set this automation up. I can push out 20 videos in a day because I can go through it a lot faster now than, hand typing it and coming up with it myself. So it's just, it's put more time back in my day.
One thing I noticed on your Twitter profile too is that you were posting every day, and I don't think you were doing that manually, right? You had it all scheduled out ahead of time.
That's all scheduled out ahead of time.
Yeah, I know a person like I guess great minds think alike, right? I did about I think October of last year or around November, I, for some reason, was really motivated to make a whole bunch of written posts ahead of time. So I made 370 posts ahead of
There
time.
you see. Yeah.
And literally this next week is when the end of that campaign happens.
But you haven't had to worry about it
shit.
for a year, right? Like you've had stuff being posted every day. And that's what I talk about. It's like, how cool is that? Because, for me, I've always tend to work in spurts, right? I live this entrepreneur lifestyle because I used to work 100 hours a week, waking up at 5 a.m., going to the office, not coming home till 8, 10 o'clock at night, and then just, working nonstop. I was constantly doing that. Now I can kind of just, if I'm not motivated to work today, I don't have to because I already did the work and the posts are going to go out there anyway. And stuff's already happening behind the scenes. So you know what? I'm going to go play video games for a couple of hours, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go swimming, or I'm going to go hang out with my kids. Like it's just allowed me to put a lot more time back in my day, man. Like it's so cool.
For context too, by the way, I've taught swimming for over a decade. So when you said that, I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
What does content repurposing mean to you? I mean, you kind of got into that already, but I was just curious.
Yeah. So, it's really about just making the most of what you have, right? So like I mentioned, our process is, we want to make sure I've got one long form YouTube video, which is very instructional, right? So
how long? Real quick.
Typically, I've 7 minutes is kind of the sweet spot is what we aim for, but I've had some go as long as 15, 20 minutes, depending on how complex what we're talking about is. But that's where I try to solve like real world problems that can't be solved in a 30-second clip, right? Like we're going to tease those 30-second clips to try to get them to the main one. But like for an example of like using a down payment assistance program for the first time, or if you're a first time investor trying to get into, your very first rental property, but you have no capital and you don't really show very much income on paper. Like, how does that person qualify to still get a rental property? I know exactly how to do it, but it's going to take longer than 30 seconds. So those ones we kind of walk them through. And that one is nice because it does solve those real world problems that people are having. And if someone's having that issue and they see my video, they'll find it, right? YouTube's still a difficult nut to crack, man. Like that's where I still have the least amount of following. I'm barely like 1,100 followers.
1,500, I think. Yeah.
Was it 15 now?
I think so. I think it was 1.5. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So we're growing even more than I thought. So but I mean, it took, I want to say a year and a half to get 100 subscribers on that one. Yeah. Like it's a slow play. Yeah. But again, I knew that going into it. Like I think so many people quit early because they expect to find the success right away. And it's the repurposing of content, to answer your question, is really just taking a little bit of something and blasting it out everywhere. Like that's why these podcasts are so awesome. We can take a 30-minute, hour-long conversation and have 2 months worth of content, enough to post 2 to 3 times a day, every single day, because they're cut up in 30-second clips, or you can repurpose them or add them or turn them. There's AI stuff where you can take a video and drop it in there and it'll repurpose it into a carousel idea or a written idea that you can, because I think LinkedIn likes written stuff better. And so you could take a clip that was really powerful that no one's going to watch on LinkedIn, but then turn it into like a script for here's how to generate 10 new leads a month through organic social media, and then have it written out. And then that's going to resonate with more people. So it's also knowing what platforms can do and what type of audience you have per platform. They've gone to the gym and they've got a few minutes before they got to head into the office. So they're going to scroll on Instagram. What are they thinking? What do they need to see that would be like, that's cool, and they are going to like it and share it or comment it, right? So like that's really the mindset you have to get into with each and every post that you make. And that's, it's hard, and I'm not pretending to be good at it, but that's how I think about it.
I'm already seeing a lot of clips already just ahead of time here. And I just want to mention that LinkedIn is pushing video pretty hard. I mean, they're not good at it still, and it still kind of sucks to watch video on there, but they are pushing it.
Right? I know. LinkedIn and YouTube are probably my weakest profiles as far as lead generation. So like for me, the whole reason I do this is, I'm a mortgage lender, soon to be real estate agent. I just passed my exam last week. So working on that one next. Going to grow the real estate team because I realize there's more I can do. But again, it all goes into the ecosystem. But yeah, it's just, those ones don't bring in a ton of leads for me because I haven't really figured out who my audience is yet. So that's on me. And that, again, it's fine. Doesn't mean I stop posting there. It just means I start to post different stuff. It's like, okay, if it's working on the stuff that works on TikTok and Instagram does not work here. Why? Because my audience is different. Okay, so what do I need to post over there? And it's that shift. But again, it's hard too, because it's more content, different content. And so if this one's already working, I'm kind of just been doubling down on that and still throwing stuff up in there, trying things, but not as hard as I was before, because I've got active leads and people ready to work with over here.
Yeah. I will say, ironically, you did kind of present your persona very well in the last couple of answers you did. So I feel like you might already know who your YouTube audience is just from what you were saying.
I have an idea. It's just, it's the SEO stuff and getting in front of it. It's getting.
Maybe we could talk about that later, and I can help.
Right? I know. I kind of know what to do, and I've been working on it, but it's also just life, man. Just
life,
juggling the
kids
and
things
that I'm doing.
Star Wars and everything.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
So you were mentioning like at the age of the channel, and like this channel is on, it's only about a year and a half old. I guess a little bit older than that now, but my main channel is like 8 years old, right? And it only has like 600 subscribers. But my point is, one thing you mentioned that kind of resonated with me there is that you knew that your niche was going to be a bit more of a slower growth, just because the topic is more macro versus something like tech or content creation is a little bit more faster growth, gaming a bit more faster because the curves are a lot faster. Speaking of like the podcasting and YouTube channel, how did the Happy Hour with Hatchman start, by the way, your podcast?
So that
it's been a minute, but still.
No, yeah, it's the Happy Hour with Hatchman. Just I had this idea to do a podcast. Like I've always wanted to do them because I love listening to podcasts, and I meet a lot of cool people at like my networking events and just in the job that I have. And so I was like, all right, well, I got to do a podcast. And I was trying to think of an idea, and at the time I had just finished building a bar in my house. We had built this house brand new in 2019, and it's got a basement in it, which is kind of a rare thing for Arizona. There's not a lot, at least this part of Arizona, there's not a lot of basements. And when we bought it, we left that, we left a good chunk of it open and unfinished, and because I had planned to put a bar in. And so luckily it got built like, I think a month before COVID hit. So really good timing. Once all the bars closed, we just came to my house because I had a full bar in my house. And so then it was, and that's what it was. So I had thrown a virtual happy hour on during COVID, right? Like I used to go to a lot of happy hours, and like I said, I'm a big networking guy. And so I was like, well, since we can't go out to the bars, and I have this really cool bar here, we'll invite a few close friends over, and then we'll do it virtual. We'll throw it up on Zoom, and it can be like a virtual happy hour. We'll give recipes on like different cocktails they can make. We could even send out kits. Like we just had this idea, and so it did pretty well. There was a lot of people that joined. Some of the closest friends that I have to this day, I met on that initial happy hour one. But it wasn't a podcast. It was just like an open happy hour. Yeah. So then that was the idea of this could be the podcast. Like we could just make it a happy hour, because I always think back to like the good conversations I have with individuals during a happy hour, right? You go to a bar with a buddy that with either a longtime buddy or somebody you just met. The conversations that come out there are really good, and it's like, man, more like I wish people could hear more of this type of stuff. So I wanted to kind of recreate that for my podcast. It's like, this is where we had like nothing's off limits. We're not talking surface level shit. Like we're gonna get deep. We're gonna talk about what's working for you, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, like the problems you're dealing with in life, whatever it is, right? It's happy hour. We're just going to have fun. And if we could just then record that and put it out there, maybe it could help some people, and it could just be fun. So that one was just, kind of a fun project, but.
And I definitely see there's a lot of potential there still too, though. I mean, obviously you're too busy right now, family stuff, and on top of that, just your overall work and content creation. You don't have time or bandwidth right now. But I feel like in the future, if you ever brought it back, it's definitely a concept I think a lot of people will still keep enjoying.
No, and I actually have brought it back. So I just got done. I did 3 back-to-back podcasts in the last month, and then I opened, and then I realized, okay, what the reason why I can't get these done is because I don't have a system in place to make them easy, right? So that was the first step, is let's create a system. So Calendly link, somebody that way, because if I'm talking with somebody like, dude, I'd love to be on your podcast, I can just be like, boom, here you go, book it. And so I dedicated Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 4 to 6 for my podcasting time. And so those days are the ones available on the calendar to book, and then I can just send it. And then the second piece was building the studio, making sure it's ready to go, having the cameras, the lighting. So then it's just plug and play. So even if it's last minute, somebody books something on a Tuesday afternoon that they want to come to a podcast at 4, I'm prepared to do it because I've already blocked off that time and it's ready to go and the system is built. So that's something that's been helping as far as like, because you're right. The excuse of not enough time is always going to be there, but we do have time for the things that we want to make time for. And because I do love the podcasting, I was like, I have to find a way to do this. So create a system and make it easy. And it's been rolling smooth now. So like I said, this one worked out perfect because I just got my edited clips back from my editor yesterday, and I've been posting them all freaking morning, man. I got
don't get me started on like
36 clips he gave me. I'm like, I have 36 to play with now. That's like 3 months worth of content. No, 64 clips. Sorry, 64 clips is what I had to play with.
Well, and you mentioned that earlier, and I just wanted to kind of throw this out there. I used to tell people back in 2022, 2023 that you should be posting 5 to 10 times a day on TikTok. Now, Instagram is a bit more iffy. YouTube actually probably even more so. Like you should post more. I mean, Pinterest doesn't matter, and then like Facebook doesn't really matter how many times you post. But it's interesting to think about like with these interviews. I usually get about 18 to 25 clips that cause I'm not as picky with clips. I know I should be a little bit more, but I usually I would rather post more that are decent or good or great. And I drop everything in the Opus clip. And by the way, I always give that to the guests too, so that way you have access to it. So you can have the clips.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. But and so I end up getting tons of clips, and those interviews generally get done after like 2 days because I'm posting like 9 a day.
No, and it's, they go fast. Like, but again, you're pretty much all in on the podcasting. So for you, that makes sense. I'm like, this is one, one spoke in my wheel of a million things that I'm doing. But it brings in a lot of clients. Like I was kind of surprised because it is the more authentic, right? Like we're not always talking about like specific problems that we're solving, but we're telling authentic stories and real things that are happening in life. And people do connect with that. And so it's almost like a lead magnet, the way I've seen it. Like it's, I had one where we were posting on like men's mental health. And somebody reached out to me and they just said, thank you. Like that was a really cool post. It, helped me open up, or I had a good conversation with my kid because of it. By the way, I need, I'm thinking about refinancing. I've got this situation. And so because I've got all the other stuff, they go to your profile, they look at you. And this is something that I teach to, all of my other loan officer students that I do this with, is you have to make it just insanely aware of who you are and what you do when someone clicks on that profile. It is my biggest pet peeve when I see something, I'm like, I could use that. And then I go to their profile and there's no link. There's nothing to do. Like, I'm like, I want your service, or I want to book time with you, or I want to buy whatever it is you have. And I don't know what to do. And now I'm lost. Right. And because we are so like, unless it's something that you really, really, really wanted, but a mortgage, you can get a mortgage pretty much anywhere. So you have to make it easy, and you have to be able to be like, click here. Do this. This is what you do next. Because if you have no direction on that profile, if it's just like Braden Hatch, Metalhead, like if that was my only thing on the profile, people would be like,
great,
cool.
Bye.
Like move on, right? And then they're not going to look into anything else. But because it says friendly neighborhood loan officer, TV show host, author, helping home buyers across the country, they're like, this guy helps with mortgages. He helps with real estate. Like, what do we do? And then there's a link right there. And then within that link is like, you can book a consultation with me for a refinance to buy a house. You can take a loan application right here. You can watch my next YouTube or my most recent TV episode here. You can buy my book here. Like it, it's all there. Like, so it takes all the guesswork out of it, because we are, it's that ADD generation, man. And I'm one of them. But like if it takes more than 2 or 3 steps to get done what we want, we're out. We're moving on. We're like, it's too hard. Like more than 3 steps, I'm out.
Well, I wanted to touch on that wheel spoke you talked about too, because I think as content creators, we need to have like an octopus-like arms. We have our hands in all these different cookie jars, and obviously it takes experience. Like you said right earlier in the call, that like you don't really have the time or interest to put into like audio and written, and that's totally fine, because you're putting a lot of those reps into video, and you tripled down on it. Like you said, you're making batching something that a lot of newer creators didn't learn, but you did pretty early on, and you were able to take advantage of that. And that's because you put so much effort into that video format. And just wanted to let you know, like this is an interview about you, but I wanted to share with you because I think you might find it interesting. I consider myself like a writer, a YouTuber, then podcaster. Yeah. And a lot of people get confused by that because I love these podcasts, but I do them for the networking, not for like monetization or something like that. I wanted to meet you, right?
Right. That's so cool. No, and that's it, right? Like it's, you try different things and you'll find that you'll either like something or be naturally talented at it, right? And so those are the things you want to double down on. And, it almost happened by accident, right? Like the content batching was the only way I had to do it because I'm still a loan officer. I'm still running a mortgage business. And that takes a lot of time. I'm still a dad, right? I have 2 kids. I have to make that, I make them breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. I
Right.
drive them to and from school. Like, it's time is a difficult thing, but if you just schedule it out and then you just hold yourself accountable and then just do it, it will get done. But that's what I was realizing with the creating the amount of content. I'm like, okay, if I have to create this amount of content, I don't have 2 hours a day to do that. But I could probably carve out 6 to 8 hours in one single day and then have it be done for the month. That I could do, like, cause then it's just, you just knock it all out in a single day. You do a sprint, right, out the gates and just give it everything you've got. And what we learned is the more time you put into the planning stage of that before you actually film and turn on the camera, it will, number one, cut down the amount of time that you will, that it needs to get it done. And it'll be a lot more effective on the back end. In the beginning, we made the mistake of just posting to post, right? Creating content for the sake of creating content. No real vision, no goals. Like, what's the point of this post? Like, I was posting whatever popped into my head. I would film whatever came into this brain of mine. And, some of it worked, some of it didn't. But when we decided to get really focused on, okay, who is my target audience? What do I want them to do? Why am I posting this? And then you really dial that in, then it's a lot easier. Then you can reuse a lot of those same statements, right? Like, I can make one take that said, did you know you can buy a house with less than $2,300 out of pocket? Like, here's how you do it. And then we could take that intro and, take 7 different clips to add to the back of it and post them in different places. And they're all going to perform differently, but one of them might hit and you get leads out of those. Like, you get people that call you and be like, hey, I do need to do this. And they already know what to do because it was within the post of what the next steps are. So the planning, definitely double down on the planning. And then knock out that content, and then the scheduling, right? The scheduling and the editing is the tedious, terrible shit that nobody wants to do. But until you make enough money to hire someone to do it, you're the guy.
I will, before we get into the next part, I will shout out Newlink, Nuelink. That's what I use to schedule and syndicate across platforms. Super helpful, and especially when it came to batching or like bulk uploading. One thing I wanted to mention with you too, by the way, is that whenever someone heard the whole Gary Vee post 100 times a day, or even just the 6 times a day when you said that too, people often was like, oh, I can't do that. Like, their brains were just like so shut off on the idea. The one difference between you, like with you and I, but especially you, in this case, we just thought, how do we do that? We had to flip a script there. And you're like, batching's how I got to do it, right? And it took me a while to actually learn the batching aspect. But either way, like, the question is like, okay, open to that idea. How do we do it? So batching, one thing you did too is you set up a studio space for your podcast, and now you can do it super easily. Like, we've talked about this on the show before, where it's like having your setup already just done. Like, if you're a videographer and you have a camera, taking your camera off every single time you want to record, there's too much, steps doing it. Like I said, the ADD, like, you just can't do it.
No, you have to make it easy for yourself, right? In order to accomplish the things that you want, you have to create the systems or build the stuff to make it easy for you. And then it's like having a gym, right? Like, I have a gym in my house now because that's easier for me. It was, could I go to the gym every single day? But yeah, that's a 15-minute drive time to and from. You got to check in and out. Whereas if I just spend a little extra money and build one here in my house, I can just walk downstairs, work out, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's just
convenience factor.
It's always haven't thought about things.
I've shared a couple tools that I like on here, but I really am curious to see what kind of tools do you use for content creation and repurposing?
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm very blessed, with the batch creating. I have my editor come over. He's got 3 different cameras. I think he uses the Sony, like whatever the bad boy Sonys are, like were they A4s, A6s, something like that. So we have usually 3 of those that we'll set up different angles and we'll walk and talk. He's got tons of gadgets. Like, he's got way more. But if it's just me one-on-one, I'm just using my iPhone. I use my iPhone to film the clips. And then if I do edit them myself, I use CapCut to edit. They've got some fun templates that I've played with. I've played with some AI stuff. For my scheduling tool, I use Later Social is what it's called. I think that's what it's called.
I used to use Later back in the day. I do like how more visual it is. I had some gripes with it, but I think with Later and Buffer, they do the job.
It gets it. It's like, because when I get my content, I'm getting it delivered in a Google Drive, edited, ready to go with a caption as far as what it's about. And so that so then I just take that, I'll watch the video, because most of the time they're 30-second clips, and then I'll be like, okay, what's the point of this? What do I want someone to do? And then I've got a million different Chat GPT, saved folders. And so I've got one specifically for content creation for each different platform. So I have one for Instagram, one for TikTok, one for Facebook, one for LinkedIn. And because I've got different strategies and audiences per. So we'll go in and I'll say, okay, I've got this video, I'm posting it on this day. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. Help me with the caption and give me the right hashtags. We need this many. And so I'll just do that. And then I'll just copy paste. And, it'll probably take me maybe 3 hours to get, one video per platform per day for a month. So but then I have the month done. And then that allows me with the core stuff of what I'm trying to get across, right? So it's usually a mixture of the podcast clips, hard calls to actions on specific products, whatever it might be, right? It's a good mixture of all of that. And then, if there are those moments, I still try to capture as much as I can throughout the day. I used to do better at it with stories. But lately I've just been recording it and then I have a raw folder we call it a raw content folder in the drive that me and my editor will review, and I'll tell him, okay, I recorded this because this was my thought. I want to make this, and then he can put that together. Or if it's something quick, I can just knock it out, right? There's if it's 2 or 3 little things and I just need to post it, I've gotten a lot better at editing since, my first
since the iMovie days.
Since the iMovie days. We have cooler tools now. It's a lot easier. So, and they're getting better. Instagram just dropped their edits.
Yeah, I was going to mention. Yeah,
I've been playing with that one.
Oh.
Well, and then I give a lot of the stuff to my kids. I try to tell them about the newer stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of in that dinosaur. Once I find something that works, until I know for sure something's better, I know it's going to take me longer to learn the new thing than it will be for me just to knock it out in my old school way. So I kind of stick with whatever might be working for me. But just because there might be something better. And so I'll have my kids play with that stuff. I'm like, hey, try this new editing tool. See how this works. See what you can make. And then if they can create something better than what we've created, I'm like, all right, well, now I'm going to try that.
Well, and just as of right now, as this time of recording, there is a slight boost if you post something from the Edits app versus just not using the Edits app.
Right.
It's going to be very temporary. It might even only be a month from now, but it's just interesting to think about that. If you can get a slight boost, that might be worth just playing around.
CapCut, right? Because CapCut's owned by TikTok. They want you to push it to TikTok. The second you edit anything, they're like they'll even do it for free. You can use the free version and be like, we'll take our watermark off if you post this on TikTok. We don't care. Again, use the tools available to you. If you don't have the money to dedicate to all of these, subscriptions and premium fees and all of that stuff, I've done so much of it for free for the longest time because, it might take a little bit longer, but cost less.
Jab, right hook, So you mentioned an interesting strategy with ChatGPT, and I like that. Is there any other digital tools that you use?
Ooh, yes. I've got a few.
Feel free to nerd out. That's the point of the show. That's why it's called PolyTools, right?
So there's a link that I have. It's called I think it's called AI Super Tools. It's a newsletter that I subscribe to that tells me about all the latest and greatest
Runway
AI tools. Yeah, Runway. Yeah. So the Runway is super AI. And so I use that one to kind of just try different things. One I found, I'm trying to remember the name of it here.
While you're thinking about it, I just wanted to mention real quick.
Yeah.
I made actually a tools directory to compete with a Runway One or FutureTools.io. And sadly I had to take it down because it was ranking down on me too much. But it's interesting because a lot of these tools websites, tool directory websites are lacking so many creator tools. And I was just so frustrated by that.
Gamma, that's what it's called.
Gamma.
That's been one of my new favorite ones. Gamma is awesome. So it'll basically, because I teach classes, I teach a weekly class to all the loan officers within our organization. It's called, Make Content, Close Deals, shameless plug for my book. But that's what it is. It's all the strategies. And I try to bring something new to the group every single week. So I hate having the very exact same slides every single time. And that always bothered me. But it took forever, right? I was creating them on Canva at the time, which great visual presentation, but takes a lot of time, right? And so I'm like, if I have to do this weekly, I can't take another 2 to 3 hours every week out of my week to to give an hour-long presentation. Like, that doesn't make sense. And so I was meeting up with actually a title rep, and he was like, let me show you about this gamma. And he did it live for me right then. And he's like, let's say we want to talk about this. And he throws it all in there. But same thing, we get smart. We use two tools at once. We'll use ChatGPT to give us a very specific outline of what we want everything to be within the presentation. And then you copy and paste that into gamma, and it literally spits it out instantly. Like, it still blows my mind how fast it is. And you get a bunch of free credits for the month. So like, I haven't even started spending money on it yet, but it gets what I need out there, right? It gives me the slides, because it's still what I talk about is what's most important, but you still need that visual representation in order to teach people and show them things sometimes. Yeah. So Gamma's been a huge one for me. I know you mentioned already opusclip.ai. That one is huge. That works phenomenal for podcasts. I use that for the TV show, for lifestyle YouTube videos. Even though my editor is going to go in and make his own clips and he's going to put together ones for me, I'm like, while I'm waiting for him to edit, I can just drop this sucker into Opus Clip, and then I've got 12 clips ready to go. So that's another one I like. I just started using Gemini for different products, because I
have a Pixel, so I use Gemini a lot because of that.
I got a new phone, and I got a new carrier, and I switched over to Verizon, and they gave us Gemini for free for 6 months, like the pro version or whatever.
Nice.
Might as well use this. So I've started a few here. I've started my next book writing project within Gemini. So I've outlined the first chapter as well as the core concept, but I'm going to take a little bit more time on this one. This book I wrote in a day. And so this one, I really want to dive into a lot more strategic things. I like books that are not only like they help you with your, mentality and like getting the work done, but then actionable books, like stuff that you can actually take action on. Cause that's the whole point. We can learn and read all day long, but until you put into practice the stuff that you're learning, it's fucking pointless. And so I want to make sure that the books that I write have that actionable piece. Like, I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but I'll literally state in certain chapters, like, do not move on to the next chapter until you do these things. Otherwise it won't work. You won't understand the chapter the way you need to unless you've put in the actual work. So like, I'm literally encouraging people to not read my book all the way through. Like, I had an LO I gave the book to, and they read it in like 2 days, and they called me and said how great it was. I'm like, you didn't do it right. I was like, if you really read the book, if you read to understand it, you shouldn't be done with it in 2 days. It takes longer than that, because those systems that I taught you to put into place, unless you have them already, prove me wrong, like show me your CRM, but you got to do the work part in order to understand the rest of it. So that it's actionable books is kind of what I
So I didn't get a chance to read it because of the time frame of when we signed up and like when you signed up to record and whatnot. But I do have a question here. We can talk about it in a second. It reminded me though of Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, where it's not meant to be read front to back, right? It's meant to be like a resource book where you go in and if you have a problem, you go check this solution out. You go check this person's solution out. And actually, I'm writing a book about swimming to myself and just bringing it up because really, I'm going to teach you a lot of the book and you could read it all the way through, but generally speaking, it would be better for you to read a certain chapter or even part of the chapter, apply it in a swim lesson and repeat the process because you need to do it, the swimming over time.
No, agreed. And I think that's how it should be done. Like, that's how I've always kind of read books. Like, and it was funny. The reason I wrote the book was because I was reading another book about how having your own book is powerful. And so once I got to that chapter, I was like, well, I'm done reading this one until I write my own book.
What inspired you to make content close deals?
So it was a loan officer student of mine. So as I mentioned, I teach a class weekly, and there was this great individual. He's still he's one of my biggest fans, and I'm one of his biggest fans. Like he's an older gentleman. He's probably at least in his 70s. So hopefully, I don't know if he'll see this or not, but
we can send it to him.
But he was. He was just really all in on on everything I was teaching, and he was putting in the work. Like, he would send me an email right afterwards with a raw video clip of him attempting what I had just taught him. And I thought it was so cool. So anyway, one day he's like, hey, I was looking up, for books to read on this topic, generating leads organically from social media for a loan officer. Super niche, right? And he's like, I couldn't find any. I couldn't find a single book that talks about what you're talking about for us as loan officers. And so I was like, and I'd already read the other book, saying that I needed to write one. And so that was kind of like my extra push of like, all right, I got to write this thing. And so I literally just first thing in the morning, I just started writing it, and I didn't stop till like 10 o'clock at night. And then, I spent a couple of weeks editing it and revising it and getting it published and all that stuff. But I basically just told my stories. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't pretend to be an expert in any of this. I've found some success in the things that I've done. So I'll just share what happened. I'll share the failures. I'll share the successes. I'll share the accidents, all of it. Like, and I just tried to make it me and as real as possible. But the same thing so the first half is basically a bunch of my stories of everything that I've done to get to where I'm at today. I mean, I wrote this, let's see, in April. I can't remember. It was earlier this year. It's already out of date. Like I've already learned so much since I've written this book, and so many life changes have happened since the final chapter of that book that I'm like, shit, I got to do another one. Cause like but it's fun. It's helped me become more inspired. It's a great business card, by the way, instead of just handing a business card to someone, oh yeah, here, just read my book. It puts you on a different level, I guess.
Well, one thing I want to do is like keynote speaking at some point. I think being an author is a key point to that. And I think you have a first step there. And I feel like you'd be great on stage like Gary Vee is. And I have a link down for your book down below.
So one of my goals too is to, speak up on stage one day.
Yeah. Well, just quickly on that, go on more podcasts. I hosted my first panel actually to a conference last week. It was virtual, but hopefully that'll be
congrats, man.
Thank you. And I'm just telling you, because I hope that maybe that could be you later this year even, you know what I mean? Like just maybe go on to more shows, trying to find a way to get on stage at like VidCon or something like that. I feel like your experience would be good at these creator conferences.
All right. I didn't even know that existed. What's it
Vid
called?
Summit's probably VidCon and Vid Summit. Those are two. There's also Podcast Movement. Like those are three major creator conferences. There's one going on right now actually called Publish Press too. So there's a few options. I'm going to Vid Summit next month. That one's really cool. A little bit harder to get into because it's a bit more expensive, but it's really interesting. Like just it's like the creator mecca.
I love that. Yeah, because there's so few mortgage guys in that space. Yeah. Like there's just that's what I'm trying to change.
There's a cute dog in the background.
Oh yeah, that's my Bubba's.
Yeah. Before we wrap up here, I have one more question here. What do you have coming down the line that you're looking most forward to?
We'll go ahead and sneak peek it here. So I'm going to be launching a new YouTube channel called Hatch Fam, and it's just going to be me and my two kids, our adventures that we have, the travels that we do. That one, it's not going to be so much educational as it's just going to be highlighting us as a family. We're going to try, we have so much fun, and, I'm in a good spot to where I'm not working so much on the businesses lately because I've been working on them for so many years, and they're almost self-sustaining. We're not quite there yet, but they bring in pretty decent money without me having to do a whole lot right now, which is awesome. And so I want to be able to, really dive into the creator side. Like I've been so focused on mortgage education and finance education, which I'm still going to keep doing. Like I do love a piece of that, but I love showcasing like funner things, like the stuff that me and my kids are doing. Like we'll have challenges of like, all right, who's got the best mozzarella sticks, and we'll like shop at all the different places, and we'll have my daughter do a blind taste test, and she has like hilarious comments during movies and stuff. So we mic'd her up during the very first. I showed her the old Jetsons TV show for the first time. Like how it's all squared on the TV. Like her little comments, like why are these two black boxes on the side of it? Like so, we just record her reactions. So just like fun family stuff. But then there'll also be like other tips, like, hey, I am a single dad, and if you're trying to find a way to travel with two kids and you're tight on money, here's something I did that made me $10,000 that you could probably do the same for. Be sure to check out my other channel, and then we can push them back to the hatchmanloans channel, where there's actionable tips on like things to help you make money, save money, that type of stuff, which in my opinion I think is boring, but an essential part of life. The best part of life is living it and doing what you want. And me and my kids just love to travel, enjoy life, and we want to showcase that more.
It might be a boring topic, but at least you're interesting as a person, so it kind of balances out there. And like I mentioned earlier in this call too, like as a content creator, we kind of have to have this octopus-like approach. And for someone like you who's polymathic as well, it's natural to want to make another channel or another arm anyways too. Like this content that we're doing right now, I made it because my other show where I talk to people who are polymathic, a lot of them I found because they're creators, but we'd only talk
Yeah.
about content creation for like a fourth of the conversation. I was
Isn't that
like, I want to
wild?
do more of that. Let's
I know.
do a whole nother show that's just about content so we can nerd out.
So
And
true though. No, it is
talk
like
shop.
it's like you said. It's sometimes just branches off and creates new things, and you just run with it. Like you're gonna find in life that you're gonna be naturally talented at some things, and some things you're not, and
Mhm.
that's okay. I like to double down on the things that I number one enjoy and have some talent in, because the more I can put towards that, the better I'm going to get, and it's just that belief. All of us have it. You have to figure out what you want out of life. Make
Mhm.
that the things that you're doing every single day are working towards that, even if they're the things you don't want to do, right? Like the scheduling to post, the nitty
Or the
gritty
editing.
editing. Like that doesn't mean life's all unicorns and rainbows. It means that you're willing to put up with the shit for as long as it takes because you believe in what that end goal is for yourself, and you're not afraid to dream big.
I love that. And so if people wanted to find more about you, where can they find you online, sir?
Yeah, Hatchman loans is pretty much everything. Braden the Hatchman, it's tattooed on my knuckles. I'm all in on the Hatchman name, but yeah, just Braden Hatch. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Threads, and on the American Dream TV show. That one's kind of a sleeper, but they got a lot of really cool content on there. So it's American Dream TV is something you can download on, like if you have a Roku TV or an Apple TV, it's an app. But yeah, to find my specific content, you'll have to scroll down to Arizona. But it's a lifestyle, TV show that just highlights great individuals. My most recent guest was previously homeless and now is a very sought after private chef who works on the board of directors for the same homeless shelter where he used to live. So, just a lot of cool stories that we share on there. And that's ultimately what I love more than anything, is just showcasing people's lives, passions, and how, especially those that have overcome difficult things that probably would
Yeah.
have taken out the everyday person.
And we didn't really get too much into the TV actually today, so hopefully next time we'll be able to get more into that. And I was watching a lot of the clips of that homeless
Yeah.
person that became a famous chef, and the clips are really well done,
Yeah.
and the actual
Very
episode
cool.
itself is going to be really interesting. Just real quick, do you know if they use like Uscreen for that Roku app, or is it some other tool? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know. So it's just, like I've got an Apple. I'm Apple everything. Like I'm so dialed in. Like I'm MacBook, iPads, iPhones, Apple TVs. Like absolutely everything I have is Apple. So, like, when you go to the App Store, you just search American Dream TV. It pops up, and then there's all the episodes. But
Just curious.
that's why
Yeah.
I try to post them on YouTube and post all
Mhm.
the clips. So the exact same episode that you would stream is available on my YouTube channel. The other cool thing that we do that's a little bit different outside, because American Dream has their own editors, right? Like I was able to get my videographer on as a preferred videographer for them. So now he also gets paid through them and through me. So he's doing great.
That's nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
I like to bring those up that, start with me, because he started same thing with nothing, just like I did. Just a crazy idea. We met in a bar. Like,
Mhm.
dude, you want to make videos for me? So, they put together the episode with my direction. So he shoots everything, and then we kind of tell him how we want them to put it together. There's been the first few episodes were a little tricky. Honestly, I wasn't happy with what they gave me, but so then, because he still has all the raw footage, we make our own version, because we have to fit within a 5-minute time slot within their 30-minute TV show episode. And so some of these stories need more than 5 minutes. And so then we make an extended cut version, which only makes it to YouTube. And then same thing, we get a shit ton more clips out of those too.
Yeah. No, I love that. And again, earlier, it's a lot of people don't do the big content like I mentioned earlier. They always do either the long form or the short form. They don't make that like really anchor pace. So yeah.
Right. No, it's harder, but it's a lot more
worth it.
rewarding. It's so fun.
Well, once again, this is Dustin, PolyInnovator, and Brayden, and on the PolyTools Creator Spotlight. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Dustin.